at that for you real quick.
Send me.
Give it a second. It's populating on my list.
Take your time.
All right. All right. There we are. All right. So guys, I'm going to be showing you guys how to properly look up guides for particular builds on HOTS logs. I just linked it in Discord, by the way, in Condanza.
No worries.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
All right, so give me a second here. I'm gonna link to this particular browser. Give it a second here. I gotta get this loaded. I think it's this one here, display capture. Yeah, that's it. Alright, so we got tons of freaking windows going on. Yeah, okay, so alright, so once you get there, Condenser, are you able to watch this stream?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Wait. New window. Hold up.
as you come in the HOTS log,
It's a few seconds behind. Hold up. Yeah, here we go.
yeah.
Uh,
Okay,
sorry.
so I'll go through it with you, and you can watch it as we go through it. So if you would just like mute me, maybe.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So what happens here is that you're gonna come into HOTS you're gonna go to statistics, you're gonna go here with details, and this is the ideal way to find the best build for a particular champion. There's a lot of things you're gonna look for, of course, but for instance, we're gonna look at Greymane. All right, so we scroll down to the list to Greymane. Click this button here, come down, Greymane. Now, I know that if I look at Greymane builds and bronze, silver, and gold, I know that these players have no real clue what they're doing. So odds of me following them, very slim. I know that I get some competency in platinum, where the builds make maybe a little bit more sense, but they're not giving the competitive edge that you'd possibly see in diamond and masters. So automatically selecting both diamond and masters to give me a better player pool for the particular builds that are being chosen. I have master and diamond selected. Now, also if I happen to see that, hey, listen, this was a particular patch that took place, and it just happened, 8 or 9 days ago. I know. Give me a second here. I know that if I happen to pull up this particular character, that the builds that were maybe a few weeks ago are no longer valid because of a patch that had possibly nerfed something that made that particular build no longer good. So generally, last 7 days, as long as you take into consideration that, hey, maybe they changed the build because of this particular nerf, after 7 days after patch, you can pretty much know that this is pretty reliable information. So what I'm going to do is, because there hasn't been really any big change to Greymane for a few weeks here, I can select a few of these weeks. But if I want to really get a real good idea for what happened within the last 2 weeks, I can leave it at that. So now what will happen is that they'll populate the list. Now I see win percentage is very important here. But the big thing too is that this may be cool, but ideally this is what you're looking for. Is this here. This is the nitty gritty. This is the beauty of it all. This is where you get the best idea for a particular matchup. Now, what you have to understand too is that why would they pick this over this? Why would they pick this over this? And why is it consistently played, but now we have a different build? What happens here is that we know that Cocktail build is by far the strongest for this particular patch as of 3/24/2017. And we know that Cursed Bullet has a higher win percentage rate. But if you also take a look down here, Cursed Bullet has a shitty percentage rate because Executioner wasn't taken along with it. So what does that tell you? So looking at this particular build and considering the fact that, hey, maybe they played Cursed Bullet because they're used to this particular build and they didn't have necessarily the CC chains that were required to make Cursed Bullet all that better with the Executioner talent. Odds are that's what happened. And so they put themselves in a situation where they took Alpha Killer because Executioner is going to increase your damage outtake overall, giving you a higher percent chance of wiping their team. So looking at this, ideally, the best build in the perfect scenario would have been Cursed Bullet alongside with Executioner. Now at level 13, we see here Dark Flight and Disengage range is being used, but in these other talent tiers, it's not being shown. So what do? We go to 13, we take a look here, and we take notice of the amount of games that are being played. Odds of you winning are so much higher taking Running Wild than they would to be taking any of these other particular talent tiers. In fact, it's such a high amount that undisputedly it's the best talent to take at 13. Just because of the win percentage and how many games were played with it. Now, in a situation where you may need to play this other talent tier, you can see here that it has a very low win percentage. Actually, it has a high win percentage. I'm sorry about that. It has a popularity rate that's really low. So, popularity-wise and win percentage-wise, this is really good. But it also goes to show that here, at 51.9%, high win percentage, there are times where you're going to want to take this. So, Enter Beast increases movement speed. What does that tell you? So, either they're going up against an enemy team that has a really high good escape chances, and the Greymane has had a tough time staying on those particular champions. At that point, then On the Prowl made a lot more sense than Running Wild did. Running Wild basically tells me, with the Cocktail build, is it's a disengage. Either one of two things is happening. They're engaging or they're disengaging. And on the disengage, it's allowing them to play Worgen form to take their soak and to disengage properly without having to get ganked. And this is at level 13. So this is a good way of analyzing the HOTS logs at a higher tier MMR and to kind of get an idea of how you should be building. I'm going to leave the stream at that, so that way anybody that may be going into this can look back at this as an example of how to use HOTS logs and taking a look at what you're looking at as far as a player build and how to properly choose the best build based off of what others were doing at a higher MMR. Why reinvent the wheel when you have a higher tier player who's already played multiple games with tons of experience? You know, why follow